Hello there guys, I'm Unstable Voltage and today I'm going to be taking a look at an indie title called The Flame in the Flood. The Flame in the Flood is a survival roguelite game. Now I originally covered this game when it just entered its Steam Early Access back in July of last year. It had been around for a short time before then because it did get funded on Kickstarter. And quite a lot has changed in the last sort of 8 months. The game is now complete. It was released yesterday, 24th of February 2016. And I'm going to be giving the game my sort of first impressions and showing you guys what I think of it. Now, this game is created by a relatively new indie company called the Molasses Flood, and those guys are based out of Massachusetts. Now, don't let the fact that they're a new indie company put you off, because they've actually got quite a lot of pedigree between their developers. Most of their development team have come from places such as Irrational Games, Harmonix and Bungie, and they're some of the people that have worked on the BioShock series, Rock Band, Guitar Hero, and even Halo. So there is quite a bit of pedigree going on there. Now, like I said, quite a lot has changed since I originally played it in the Early Access. One thing that hasn't changed is me. I'm still terrible at the game. But one of the developers did suggest that I use the game with a controller as opposed to using the mouse and keyboard. It does work with the mouse and keyboard, perfectly fine, but it just seems to be easier for me, at least, doing it with the controller. Quick look at the options here. You do have gamepad controls and mouse and keyboard controls. They aren't rebindable, unfortunately, but there's relatively few controls, so you probably won't need to rebind or reconfigure any of these. It would have been a nice option to have. Also, maybe some sort of left-handed configuration if you are a keyboard user, but I guess it will still work out with the current controls. One other thing that I do dislike is this thing here, like on anti-aliasing. It's just low, epic, medium, and high. I mean, what type of AA is it? I really don't know. It doesn't give me any of those details there. I will go ahead and reset the tutorials, actually, just so I can show you guys how that all starts off. I've got VSync on because I do notice a little bit of screen tearing. That well could be just because I'm recording, though. That does tend to happen. I'm recording this game with Shadowplay. I also believe that the game is built in the Unreal Engine, if that is any use to anybody knowing that information. So we're going to go in and start a new campaign. I'm going to overwrite my old campaign. Now, first thing you'll notice here is we've got two options. The original Survivalist was the only way you could play this during the early access, which was basically permadeath, fewer supplies, and your stats diminish at an increased rate. That is how the game originally used to play. Once you were dead, that was it. Game over. Done. Now you have this Traveller option, which is a bit more casual. You do get checkpoints, and there are more supplies around. I'm going to go in through Traveller just to sort of make this playthrough a little bit easier, and hopefully I'm not going to screw up really early on, and I can show you guys how this game's going to work. So this is the Flame in the Flood, everybody. We have a new goal, which is to discover the source of the radio signal. This is Tutorial Island, which pretty much is always the same. This is our main character and our pet dog Aesop, who's very useful to us in this campaign. Now, two of the first things that you'll notice is, first of all, there's a very distinct art style here, which I actually really like. The characters almost have a sort of a Picasso quality to them, as in fact do quite a lot of the backdrops. It's a very sort of pastel shaded, almost watercolour affair going on, and I really do like the art style of this game. Second thing you will also notice is there's a very, very brilliant soundtrack which was recorded by Chuck Reagan specifically for this game, and the particular style of music may not be to everyone's taste, but it really does fit the game quite well. So pretty much what you'd expect from a survival game. If you look down there at the bottom of the screen, you can see our hunger, our thirst, our temperature, and how tired we are. We have a limited amount of inventory space. If we look in the top right hand corner, you can see how far we've travelled, which is pretty much the indicator of our success and how many days we have survived for, as well as the time of day or night and the temperature. And we also in the top left hand corner have limited inventory space. So we're going to start by just sort of wandering around Tutorial Island and picking up some stuff. As you can see, if we move up to these signs, it gives us a little bit of information about the gameplay. So you'll see these things on the ground that we can pick up. So we've got a sapling here, we've got a feather that we can grab. Sure, if we look around the map, we'll find some more stuff. We've got a couple of cattails. We can try and shoo off crows, because they make a noise and attract things to us, and it does give us an opportunity to get more feathers. Should always go around and read these signs because they give you information, such as water. It is possible to drink water from wells and from the river, but it's usually going to be contaminated, so really you should always try and purify your water. And right there we find our jar and a water filter, as well as some rags and a splint. Very, very useful. So we're going to pick all of those up. We've also got a few more cattails over here. Now these little mailboxes give us quests that we can do, so let's go and check that. So we'll pick up this task. It should tell us what the task is. Build basic tools. I think that's to actually build a very specific knife. Now just having a look around at the moment just to make sure there's nothing I've missed, because there's usually some extra stuff that we can pick up. Now as a player you actually have 3 different inventories. You have the inventory on your character herself. You also have Aesop's inventory, which is the dog. And you also have the raft's inventory. Now you can only move stuff from and to the raft when you are in the dock. And the good thing with Aesop, he can only carry 6 items, but when you've got the game on survivalist, if you die, anything that Aesop is carrying you get to keep for the next playthrough. So if you've got items that are particularly hard to come by, or stuff that you've crafted that's particularly end game and you want to make sure you keep it because it would be really useful for you on a new playthrough, you can go and give that to Aesop. You've also got the crafting here, and as you can see there is a huge list of stuff you can craft. Some of it does require you to unlock certain prerequisites before you can get it. Obviously it all requires a certain amount of materials to make. And you can also go over and sort by category. That's one of the things that I really am glad that they have improved since the early access, because it was quite difficult sometimes to actually be able to sort of sort between all of the different things and find exactly what you were looking for. So I really do like that. You can see any afflictions that you have here, what your current goals are, and also you can wear various different bits of clothing because you need to be able to survive problems with the temperature. Let's go and examine this sign. So this was a fine home for a spell, and this is one of the things that makes this game so good, is that for a survival game you have to keep moving on. You cannot backtrack, you cannot go back to somewhere that you've missed. And because you've just got such a limited amount of carry space in your inventory, sometimes you really do have to make tough decisions about what you take with you, because if you leave something behind, you may not get the opportunity to come back and get that item again at a later date. So we're going to go over to the campfire. I think the last time I tried this I actually got given some corn and I could make some corn cake, but we're going to go over to the campfire and we can use the fire here. So if you sit at the fire, sometimes it allows you to craft certain things, such as purifying water and cooking food. You can normally only do that if you actually have a fire. But we're going to go here and make ourselves a couple of braided cords. They'll be quite useful for later on. We're going to leave the fire for the time being, because there's nothing else that we really need from here. But I will pick up the charcoal. So it's always worth having that. So let's go and head towards the raft. Now, this is the reason that one of the developers suggested that I use the controller, because when I tried it with the mouse and keyboard, I was really bad. Now, I have seen people playing it with the mouse and keyboard who do an absolutely fine job, and I'm more than willing to admit it's just me being terrible. So we're going to go and get on the raft here. Now, the raft is very important because the raft can be damaged, and if the raft is damaged to the point where it sinks, then that's pretty much it. You know, we drown. That's the end of the game. We're dead. And now you also have to be careful even if you crash the raft, because even if you don't destroy the raft, it can still take damage and throw you into the water, and that means you get wet and then you start to get ill. So we do have the ability to use the X button on the controller here to paddle hard, which allows me to make a sudden move in one direction. Now you will see there's a stamina bar above my portrait at the bottom, so you can't just continually spam the steer hard button. So you do have to be very, very careful how you use that. You don't want to sort of run out of stamina and then run into some rapids or run through some very narrow passages, because you'll probably just find that you end up crashing. So we're now starting day 1. The sun is coming up. And as you can see, what I was saying before about not being able to go back, and this is the reason why, we always have to follow the river downstream. There's no way for us to go back. So anything that we miss, that's it. It's gone. We can't get back to it. It's lost to us forever. So what we're going to do is we're going to work our way down the river. Now the river is procedurally generated, so every time you play this game it is going to be a little bit different. The islands that you find and the items that you find within those islands are always going to change locations. So I'm just trying to be very, very careful here because I don't want to do too much damage to the raft. It's not too bad when the water's calm. And like I said, you can actually upgrade the raft later on. Now you will see at the top of the map there, an icon has just appeared. There's actually a couple of them starting to appear now. And those are different places that we can visit. So we're going to go over to this one on the left, which is a camp. Now different types of places usually have different resources available to you. So camp often has flint, always has a lit fire. So flint is actually very, very useful to us. There are rabbits here. Now, we need to build traps in order to use rabbits, so we can't really do an awful lot about that. Got some old lumber here. These rabbits will just dive into their holes whenever we go near them, so we need to be able to build a snare if we are to catch those. And in order to do that, we are going to need a knife, which will require us finding some flint. We've got some dandelion here that we can pick up. That may be useful for making some tea later. Search this old car. We've got some nuts and bolts already. We are going to need to expand our inventory. Might have to start giving some stuff to Aesop, so I think I'm going to do that right now. So let's go ahead and give him the splint. Let's go ahead and give him the timber, and I think we'll also go and give him the nuts and bolts as well. He can probably take the water filter for the time being. So let's keep looking around as those rabbits dive for cover. And again, we've got some things we can search here. Got some flint, got some rags. Don't think we can craft the knife yet, unfortunately. Don't quite have enough for that. We can loot this. Got some more old lumber. Got a mouldy lump. Not too sure how useful that is. Doesn't really look like there is a lot else that we can do here. We could sleep, but we're not really tired, so there's not a lot of point in doing that. Let's go ahead and give that to Aesop, and we'll give him the flint as well. Don't think I can build even the most basic knife yet. If I start hitting the right button. So, raft frame we could actually build. We still need a stone knife, so it's very important that we find ourselves some more flint. We've got braided cord, so we're quite close to being able to make the knife. We just need to try and find ourselves some more flint. So it doesn't look like we're going to find anything else here. Let's go and get off this island and move on. So as you can see, most of the islands are actually fairly small. A knife is very important because we'll also need that in order to make a snare, which we can use to catch rabbits. Now, it would be nice if we could get all the way over to the church. I'm not certain that I'm going to be able to do that because there's quite a lot of land in the way. I mean, I could give it a try. No, we'll just end up crashing into that island, so we will give that a miss. There is somewhere else we can dock here, though. So, Babcock Greens, let's go and land up here. We might find something that we can use. So what have we got here? Fishing line? Yeah, that might be useful. Let's have a look in the bait shack. So we can loot it. We've got ourselves a fish hook, which means we can now make stitching kits. And stitching kits can be useful because it means we can make clothing. So we can go and make ourselves a stitching kit. And then we can make things like insulated pants and an insulated jacket, insulated boots. Kind of used up all of my materials there, but at least we've got a jacket that'll help us against the cold a little bit. Wasn't an awful lot else on this particular map. Just before we get on the raft here, let's just go and see if there's any stuff that we can move onto the raft that we might not need to carry around. Probably the mouldy lump. Don't need to really be carrying that, probably. The charcoal, let's move that to the raft for the time being. We could also just move some of this stuff from Aesop that he doesn't need to be carrying. We could probably also move the old lumber, because that's what you use to repair the raft. So let's get back onto the raft. And try and sort of get up to the next point along the river. Looks like there's somewhere again over there to the right. Not necessarily sure that I can reach that either. Camera won't let me pan over that way, unfortunately. Not just yet. Yeah, I won't be able to reach that, so I'm not even going to try. So we'll just keep working our way downstream. Sun is starting to go down, which means we are going to start getting a little bit cold. Let's try and get around all this driftwood. So you can, so there you go, we're now ill-equipped because we're not wearing any insulated clothing and the temperature is dropped. So you do get certain status effects and they will affect various different things, such as your food will deplete more quickly, your health will deplete more quickly. You can also get ill. Just trying to be very careful here and just steer around all of this stuff. We are getting quite close to a camp. I would like to be able to try and get to the camp if possible, because the camp will always have a fire. Oh, I've actually crashed the raft a little bit there. Just a tiny bit. That wasn't terrible, but we can dock. So this is Loop's lucky location. And this will be good, because if we go and stand near the fire, it will get rid of our status effect of being cold. The Black Wolf. You cannot survive for long in an encounter with a wolf. You need traps to kill it. We can frighten it off to buy a little time. But yeah, wolves are bad. So we can try and get in here. And we can potentially sleep for a few hours. Get back to being daylight. There's a lot of stuff here that we could potentially loot. We're still ill-equipped. Let's go and put on our pants. Oh, we've got the wolf here. We can try and scare it off. We need to loot this as well. We've got another fish hook. It's almost daylight. Very tempted. The rain is coming as well. So this is another reason why you can't hang around. Let's just sleep again for... Ooh, nearly got attacked by the wolf there. Did he get us is the question. Not too sure if he goes away in daylight. Appears that he did. The rain is now coming though, which is problematic. We've got some more flint. We've still got the wolf. I think we're just going to have to get out of here. Scare it off a little bit and get out. Because we don't want to end up getting wet. We need to move on. This is one of the things that always used to catch me out on this game at the beginning, is that the wolves can do a lot of damage to you. So we need to try and avoid the wolves. Find somewhere safer. Somewhere that we can potentially dock up. I have seen that some people have managed to survive for like well over a year in terms of game time. So kudos to them, because they've done a lot better than I've ever managed to do. So let's keep moving downstream. Oh. Yeah, didn't mean to hit that. Let's just get over this side. A lot of stuff that you can accidentally hit. I'm starting to take damage now. The last time I attempted this, I actually wasn't doing as bad as I am now. Obviously, I've just gotten worse as the day has gone on. But that's the nature of the procedurally generated water. And sometimes you hit slack water like this, and you actually have to fast paddle just to get through it. So that uses up your stamina as well. Oh, I didn't realise there was stuff there that you could loot along the way. That's interesting. That seems like it was something that was added that I wasn't aware about. So I'll have to remember that for next time we go past something that looks like it's glowing. So there is a marina over here, which we could dock up with, and that should allow us to repair the raft. Then we might even be able to reach the camp. So this is Rust Water Station, provides gas, raft upgrades, and a repair lift. So if we want to use the marina, how much will it repair? It doesn't actually tell. Oh, plus 10 or plus 20. Got old lumber, so we could do that. And we probably won't do the minor repairs. We'll save the bolts. Is there anything else here that we can pick up? We don't need gas because we don't have an engine for our... we don't have an engine. You can get engines for the raft later on, but we don't have that right now. So it's good that they've added a way to more easily repair the raft. Now I would like, ideally, to get over to this side. See if I can get to that camp. Looks like I'm going to have to steer hard left after going around these, this little peninsula here. Yeah, they've definitely made it much easier to actually steer in the direction you want to go. You're not quite so limited as just travelling forwards and being able to sidestep. Feels very much now like you can actually get out of the way. Let's hope there's no wolves here. Potentially got another quest here. What have we got for this one? Carnivore. So we've got stuff we can pick up. We can now make snares. We need to craft our knife, of course. Did we not pick that dandelion up? No, we did not. We failed at it miserably. We can shoo that crow off if we want to. Sometimes they drop feathers. He actually did. Can't get it, though. There we go. Got the feather. What have we got here? Old lumber and flint. Good. We've got what we need to build a knife. What do we have in the building? Let's have a quick look. We will loot. We've got some salt. So let's go and use the fire. And see what we can make. Stone knife. Yes, we definitely want a stone knife. And that is pretty much all we can make there. Okay, let's get up from the fire. We will pick up the charcoal. And let's just go and do a little bit of inventory management. We are currently thirsty. That's fine. We're not in a dire need for anything else. Let's go and move the salt to Aesop. Let's also go and move the fishing hook to Aesop. Can't do an awful lot with that until we get ourselves some fishing line. Let's just hunt around the rest of the map. Be able to make ourselves some dandelion tea. We will need to find ourselves some water. Got some more saplings here. Saplings are also very useful. More annoying birds. More stuff we can search. Got some more rags. That is a wolf. Would like to try and pick up as much of this as possible. And I think we just need to sort of sprint out of here. So you can sort of chase the wolf off briefly. But it does require stamina to do so. And you can only chase them off for so long. Which is quite annoying. Now then, so we have a tool belt now. So at least they don't take up slots in our inventory. We're fine while we're on the dock. The wolf won't come out here. Do we have anything that we can eat? Well, we could eat dandelion. I mean, it's not all that useful. We're not exactly starving, so let's see if we can get across to the next location. We did pick up some quite useful stuff on that one, so even though we've been sort of forced out a little bit earlier than I would have liked, we're not doing too bad. Definitely need to find some food soon. But we need to find an island that is a little bit safer. So let's keep working our way down the river. And this is another thing as well. Time does pass even when you're moving down the river. So sometimes you do have to sort of paddle faster. Because if you go too slow, the storm that's following you downriver can actually catch up with you. And that is not a good thing. There we go. So, alright. So this is what happens. You try and loot something and you crash. There we go. Got some old lumber. That'll help repair the raft. At least there are checkpoints in this sort of more casual mode. I do quite like that. For those people who don't necessarily enjoy the permadeath, or maybe who are just as terrible at the game as I am. I have no idea how I managed to avoid all of those things. Could not do it again if I tried. We're about to find a church. This is usually a safe haven. Often has rags, stitching kits and alcohol. Hopefully no wolves. But there are no guarantees. Dog's barking at something. Got some mulberries here. These can be eaten. Now there's a boar here. Boars do charge at you. Ow. That's a broken limb. Let us sleep. Really dislike those boars. I've actually got a pouch here. If I can quickly transfer some stuff over to Aesop, then I might be able to pick up the pouch. Why is my inventory full? Is there anything here that I can use or get rid of? Move to Aesop. There we go. Take pouch. Or is that just a pouch schematic? Got a broken leg and I'm hungry. So let's go and eat the berries. They spoil pretty quick. Need to put some stuff on the boat. Got a broken leg. We do have a splint. We should use that actually, because that'll get rid of the break. So use the splint. We no longer have a broken leg. And then we can make ourselves a pouch. There we go. Now we can carry some more stuff. Carrying a lot of dandelions. Let's move some of those over to Aesop. There. Good. Still not too sure where that boar is. I don't like the fact that it's on the map. Some of the things only come out at night, though. No, it's definitely still on the map. We're just going to have to sort of run away. That was really all I could do there. Let's put some more of this stuff onto the raft so we can get rid of the wood. We probably move some of those from Aesop onto the raft. What else do we want to move onto the raft? Probably not much of this stuff. We probably want to hang on to quite a bit of it. Definitely need to try and find somewhere safe to go, though. Still very hungry. Could do with some better food. Might find some corn. Let's carry on moving up the river. We'll try and avoid the one that looks like a group of trees, because that's the wilderness. The wilderness has very few supplies and often has nasty things that can attack you. So I'm going to try and head down to that camp, if I can. Camp Floydia. Let's hope for no nasty stuff this time around. Give me a break, game. We are very hungry. It's like there's some kids here. It's unusual. Pick up all these cattails. Well, I haven't seen these before. Visit feral children. Well meet, Roma. Jen's got stick points. Need, want, like. You two offering me arrows, don't need trade thanks. Alright, so you get these feral children that you can trade with. That's cool. Got a kind thought for everyone. Okay. So it looks like they've given us some stuff. Cool. So I just got given some freebies. That was quite nice. Found some more flint. Might actually be able to build some traps here. Mouldy lump, flint. I do actually really like the music for this game. Some old lumber. I'm getting stuck on the scenery, which again is just my own ineptness as usual. Oh, there is a wolf here. Definitely want to try and get these cattails where possible. Ah, he got me. Not having a lot of luck so far in this playthrough, is it? I always seem to end up... Ah, he got me again. No, I'm almost dead here. Just try and scare him off and get out of here if I can. I'm also bleeding. I've got like a triple bleed going on. Well, we did have some bandages. At least I thought we had bandages. We can actually make bandages, that's fine. Only got one alcohol though. So use the bandages. Laceration cured. We can eat some of these cattails. We are very, very hungry. Let's go and do that. Now we can eat these mouldy lumps, but they will give us parasites, so there is a negative to using them, which is why we wouldn't necessarily want to use them. Dandelion doesn't appear to give us any nutrition on its own. We can actually build a stone hammer. Now that's not a bad thing. What does the raft frame give us? Grading your raft. Still have a couple of lacerations here. So that's going to make me lose health until we can find some more alcohol. So as you can see, part of this game is finding the right resources that you need. I know that I need to make bandages, and I have rags. So in order to make bandages, I need alcohol. And I will most likely find alcohol at churches and chapels. So that's where I'm going to have to try and head. Now we're actually starving. Which is making the graphics go a little bit weird, which is a deliberate thing, you know. Actually dying right now. And there we go. I starved. I'm game over. Died of starvation. Sometimes it is luck of the draw. Sometimes you do actually have to find the right food. I should have been a little bit quicker in crafting some traps so that I could have actually got some food there. But the thing is, now we can continue on. We'll go back to the checkpoint, and everything that Aesop had, we will still be able to use. You actually get this little map now that sort of shows you where you started, shows you how far you made it down the river, shows you any places you visited, wherever you happened to crash, where you gained any health. So you can always go and have a look and see what happened. You know, that's where I gained sort of 3 lacerations. This is where I started to starve, and ultimately that is where I met my end. Managed to survive for 4 days and travel 4.9 miles. Not very far at all, but I still think The Flame in the Flood is a brilliant game. If you like survival games and you like roguelite games, I'd definitely go and check this out. It is quite inexpensive. I think off the top of my head it's about 15 British pounds on the Steam store, so it would be your regional equivalent, probably about $20, something like that. But I would definitely go and check this game out. Developers have put a lot of hard work into it, and they have made a really beautiful and fun to play game. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time, and until then, goodbye for now.